Welcome to NeedleXChange, conversations on the art of thread. My name's Jamie Chalmers, aka Mr. X-Stitch, and in this episode of NeedleXChange, I'm interviewing Róisín Phelan, a contemporary embroidery and textile artist who has built her practice around punch needle. In this episode, we start on common ground, a shared love of squared notebooks. Oh yeah, before getting into how she creates the visual identity for her family brewery and cafe, and how building a whole visual world means that a design comes together in an afternoon rather than a fortnight. We talk about being a new parent and how that balances out being an artist with a consistent practice, and we close on how she came to fall in love with punch needle. Róisín's a lovely person whose practice keeps her grounded, and it was a pleasure to chat with her. Be sure to follow her on Instagram and tune in next week for the second part of our NeedleXChange. Until then, enjoy the show. So how many notebooks are up there then?
So many, I don't even know where I would begin. I used to keep like journal books. They were more like to-do list books, but then they end up being full of everything. I do not have the time anymore to keep those kind of books.
No, yeah, it's like that scrapbooking project. My wife's got a scrapbooking project for the children that is basically now 6 boxes of stuff that might get put in a scrapbook in 12 years' time when we get
I have like a shopping basket with a scrapbook in it, but I haven't bought it yet because I know I can't commit the time to doing that.
Yeah, it's so lovely. And for all those parents who've managed to do that, screw you guys. I don't know what you're doing. Have you got a nanny or something? With those notebooks then, would you say, are they full to the end, or is it kind of like you have a notebook, you do your doodles, you do your thinking, it runs its course, maybe 3 pages in, and then you're done and you move on to another one?
No, most of them are full to the end. The notebooks are full to the end. The sketchbooks are when, like, if I don't like something, I'm like, right, I need a new sketchbook. Start again, new project. Or if if it's a new idea, I think part of what drives me to actually do it is, well, I can buy a new notebook.
Some motivation.
At least I can buy a new book.
I mean, that's probably quite good, isn't it? If you're like meandering, I don't know, through TK Maxx or whatever, looking at the notebooks, people can probably tell that there's something going on. So that's probably quite rewarding. I like that.
That's my favourite section.
It's good, isn't it? That, and we buy birthday cards from there because you can get pretty cool birthday cards, and we just buy a bunch and then have them just for the inevitable emergency when we forget. I favour, this is the second one of these that I've bought, yellow, but see, I like squares.
I think we have the same notebook.
No way. With a yellow and grey bookmarks.
With squares.
Squares, little loop.
Oh yeah, with the yellow and grey.
My God, we're like notebook twins.
Wow.
That's amazing. What a great place.
Well, that says a lot about me.
Thanks for having a needle exchange with me. I think we're done. That goes at, no, I really like this book. It's yellow, so I can find it. That often helps. I just really like a squared notebook, though. Over time, I've just realised that kind of works for me for lots of ways.
I think I'm coming around to the idea. I always like the idea of a plain notebook. But then I always want to do more writing, and then it just gets out of hand.
Yeah,
because there's no lines. So I thought this might be a good middle ground where it's not lined. I don't know, try something new.
Yeah, try something new. For me, I mean, I used to pretend it was because it meant I could do cross-stitch designs quite easily on it, but I don't do cross-stitch designs on it. So that's just the sort of thing I say to impress people. But it's really good for to-do lists for me because I have a lot of project management. So, and then what I've discovered recently, and this is just for all the nerds out there, I use this thing called Notion, which is like a project management tool.
I've used that before.
And I've got a really clever system now with some AI agent modes that talk to me. I've set it up, right? Recent development. I've set it up to tell me off if I'm still working after 11 o'clock at night. And I can quote you my agent thing yesterday when I was doing some work, and it was like, right, Jamie, it's 10:15. I think it's about time you power down now. So I have it like telling me off so I don't overwork. I think it's kind of an app, kind of a website called Note This Down. And what you can do is you can take photos of your notebook and it will transcribe it and ping it over to Notion. So that's really handy. That's that like analog digital interface that I need a lot of the time. And they've even got it so that if you draw like little check boxes, it knows that it's a to-do list and all those sorts of things. So that's dead handy there. Congratulations for staying awake as I talked about that as well.
Oh, I love to-do lists. This is...
Did you ever do bullet journaling?
Well, this is the thing. I think why I like the square ones is because I see people make them online and they're like perfect, and they do like the title page for the month, and like I can't do it. Within like one day, it's like,
It always bothers me when you go on YouTube, and I want to say TikTok, but I don't go on TikTok because I don't have the time, and I always end up watching people picking spots or something. But when you put in bullet journaling, and I'm looking for tips and tricks, and usually they come out going, "Well, I use these felt tips," and I'm like, "No, hang on, that's not what I meant at all, isn't it?" These are the stickers that I use to label the cover of my bullet journal, and I'm like,
well, they must have books to plan their books.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's not a productive book. You need a book that you can open and be like, duh, and then close it. And then it's just written down. You don't need to open it. And then it has to be written perfectly in italics and with a gel glitter pen. Like, if you've got time to be doing that, you don't need to be making a to-do list. You just need to do the things.
Quite frankly, if you're not a digital creator doing bullet journaling videos, then what the bloody hell are you wasting your time on? Sort of, isn't it? Yeah, no, I agree. It kind of sucks. Mine's rough and ready. What impressed me the most about this note it down thing, though, is that it can read my handwriting. I tend to write in like joined up capitals quite a lot.
I do that.
Whoa, what's going on?
I don't know why.
It's just the way it has to be done sometimes. My handwriting's a car crash, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good at it.
And it can read it and put it in.
Yeah, and then sometimes you have to do a little bit of tinkering, but I've always kind of wanted that. I'm trying to conquer the getting my emails to turn into tasks thing as well, so that I can just triage things across or whatever. But what I know full well is I once spent a day doing that, and I realized I was procrastinating. But because it's like doing your covers of your things, isn't it? It's kind of procrastination, really. You've got to say it as you see it, really. So that's a good start. Okay, so should we talk about? Do you know what I want to talk about next? I want to talk about Colours Coffee and how you start a coffee business.
Yeah. So, well, it started with the brewery, really.
Do the brewery first, then. So we started a brewery.
Yeah. So my now husband, he grew up on a farm, and there was a brewery operating on the farm in one of the sheds, and they went out of business. So him and his brother took it on during COVID. And then, so from there, we opened a cafe, which is still running now. So we do the cafe. And then Ben, who does the coffee, lives in the village, and he came up to talk to us about coffee. And he used to work, I don't know if you're into your coffee
a bit
business, but there's a coffee shop in Bath called Colonna and Smalls.
Okay.
And they do speciality coffee. So he used to roast for them, but he wanted to do his own business and start something new. So we set up one in the brewery building. So he roasts the coffee there, and it's going really well. And I do the artwork for him. And then, he does all the coffee. I can't drink coffee. It sends me off the walls. So
I like a bit of coffee. I can only really have 2 legit coffees a day now, because otherwise I'll start to get anxiety because I'm just not as tough as I used to be.
I'm like shaking and my head's like that. But I like making coffee. So I like doing the patterns, but I don't drink it. So I'm like, does anyone else want a coffee? Problem is, everyone likes making coffee to do the patterns. So.
You like the ritual of it. But yeah, so I noticed that because I went back through your Instagram, and I don't wish to criticize, but I couldn't find your website.
I don't have a website.
So that makes me feel a bit better.
That'd be why.
So then I was going back, and this is the thing. I was like looking punch needle, and then various bits, and then going, okay, paintings, and then going, okay, cafe, and then going, okay, like coffee company, okay, brewery, and then going back even further.
Yeah.
I was impressed, but at the same time, visual identity, and just seeing your touch on all of it, and actually, because I was trying to think how your work made me feel, and there's an album series. There's a guy called Giles Peterson. He's a DJ. He does a series of albums called Brownswood Bubblers, and some of the artwork on those makes me feel like yours. And I get like jazz vibes sometimes from your choices of color and your like illustrative style and stuff. It's got that kind of rawness to it. And then I can see those touches throughout all of the bits and pieces that you do.
Yeah, definitely. I think because with the brewery, we had to like completely start from scratch. So it took a long time of like building up what do we want it to be. And through that, I think it really just helped develop. I kind of leaned into a style I already had started on my own, but it just like it made it into something a lot like, it doesn't take me an hour to sit down and think of an idea now, because I've got that world in my head. So you have to like go into that, like the world they live in the art, if that makes sense. So when you do like a beer can design, it used to take me like 2 weeks to think of something, and now I'm like, okay, where are we in the world? We'll do like desert. Okay, so what would he be doing in the desert? And it helps if you have like a visual world that these people live in. And then colors, the coffee company is completely different. Like we went more like Bauhaus, like just stripped back shapes, but you know what would be in that world, and what like that kind of branding would be completely different. But it's just, yeah, I do enjoy it, but it is hard work doing branding rather than art, because there's an actual purpose that it needs to like hit these things and have like space for barcodes and labels and text and cut off lines. And with art, it's just like, well, that's mine, I'm done.
Yeah, you can't really get art wrong, but you can get design wrong, right?
Well, they'll be like, oh, your bleed line, and like you need to fit your cut line in here. Is this text going to go? Like, and it's, oh yeah, it's not just a drawing, it's an actual product.
It makes you appreciate, like, and you'll get into more of this, but children's book illustration and that kind of thing, you know, the fact that they do these colourful pages, but they still have to have the space for the text that's going to get put on separately, and like thinking all that sort of stuff.
It also, I don't know if you found this, but because we do book, we read a book every night, but we read it with like the lights quite low. And we're like, why have they done a dark blue background and black text? This is a nightmare.
Yeah, that's
quite tricky. Like, this is not the best. They should do a white text on that colour.
We have this standing joke in my head. It's really hard, right? So we read to our kids every night, but it's about 8:30 in the evening sometimes when I'm reading to Annie. And I definitely hear it sometimes with my wife. She'll be reading. I'm reading a story and it's going very well. And then she'll start to go, and now I'm starting to talk a bit like this. And then she'll go silent because it's so soporific that you just fall asleep. And it's really hard. Like, I do it sometimes. I never fall asleep because I'm not really much of a napper, but I'll like read to Annie and then just be lying there and just be like, all right, try and shoehorn myself back out of the bed at like 9 o'clock when you could just go to sleep. So nicely that. But no, I hear you. I definitely get you. And another complete aside as well, Annie struggled with reading, particularly we changed schools this year. She struggled with reading. And when we went to the new school, they reset her back a bit with reading books. But what they would do is they would read the same book 3 times, or she would read it. So instead of reading it once and passing it on, she'd have to read it 3 times before she gave it back, which is a brilliant idea because it just beds it in. And by the time she goes through the 3rd time, she can kind of enjoy the reading of it because she's confident about it. Just putting that out there as a random piece of information you don't need for.
That's interesting. I feel like I've read these books 1,000 times.
Have you got any favourites?
I do like all of the Dr. Seuss ones.
Yes.
I think they're the most fun to read.
Yes.
The Julia Donaldson ones, they're good. They are like noticeably better than some of the ones, because we get them all from like charity shops. And some of them you're like, oh my gosh, like this is awful.
There's I think I could probably quote The Highway Rat now if I put my mind to it. Now you've just triggered that. I love Dr. Seuss as well. Those were ones I was definitely hard. And I read, was it Green Eggs and Ham? Apparently he was challenged to use as few words as possible. So the whole thing only uses like 50 different words. That's why it's so repetitive.
It makes sense because there are not many words. But then his other ones are like, was it Fox in Socks?
I love that one. I love that one.
There's so many words.
But also, like, trying to read about a Tweedledee battle in a bottle with a paddle on a poodle in a puddle.
Eating noodles.
Yeah, honestly, I bloody love that one. That makes me so happy to read it because it's so hard.
Well, it's like fun to read.
Honestly, they're so good. There's this series that we started now. Well, not started, but my daughter got out of the library. They're like, this one was like the Christmas cracker fairy thing, right? And it's written by a pseudonym, as in it's a collection of people that have written it. And you can't help feeling that basically it was just AI that wrote it, because it's now like the, I don't know, wet sock fairy or the cool trainer fairy. And you're just like, I feel like you're cashing in on a certain trend here or something. That was very
And also you can tell like some books definitely are now illustrated by AI.
And
it's like,
It's a bit depressing, isn't it? It's a bit depressing. I feel like you could probably turn your hand to it, though.
I definitely think I will one day.
Have you ever seen Chris Horton's work? Chris Horton, he does his stuff. It's really hard to explain, but like the colors he chooses, he just has strong colors. It does remind me of you. Like he's a bit less outliney, but I'd recommend having a look at them. They're simple little stories, but there's something about his choices of colors. Like he'll have like 3 shades of red within the same sort of sunset scenery sort of thing, but the characters will be 3 shades of blue, and just the way he pulls them together, that like color discord that doesn't feel like it should work, but he nails it every single time.
Chris Horton.
Yeah, Haughton. Shout out to Chris if he's listening. He won't be listening. Why would he be listening? But yeah, no, I think it's interesting. And do you find that doing the stuff for the coffee company is refreshing because it's not the same aesthetic as the stuff that you tend to do?
Yeah, I think it's like more refined. It kind of feels like a bit more grown up. I feel like I'm working more than when I'm doing the brewery. I just feel like I'm having fun drawing and being silly. But with the coffee, it's like it just was a completely different style than I'd ever done. I had to use a grid, and I hate using grids. And I had to do like measurements with maths to make sure that all the shapes are the same size. But I enjoy it. It wouldn't be something I would do just for myself. So it's nice that it's something that I was able to do.
And if it's a sort of in-house thing, do you get much say over the design, or are you very much like responding to what Ben is asking you to do?
So the design was completely my idea, but then if Ben didn't like it, he would say change that, then I would change that. But I think we work quite well together. He normally likes what I'd like, and if he says something, I'll be like, maybe it would work, or maybe we should do it like this. And yeah.
Whereas with the beer, you've done so many designs, you've done a colouring in book now.
Yeah, that's just mine. I don't ask permission or anything for that. I just tell them I've ordered it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And he goes, okay, that's the profit margin gone for this month, or something like that. And then there's a cafe as well.
Yeah, so the cafe was what I originally... So I was working in Bristol, and I left my job in Bristol to come and help set up the cafe. And then, so that's still going, but I'm at home with the baby at the minute. But
baby. Stay at home,
which is quite a nice break from just hospitality in general. But
yeah, I guess it's fairly unrelenting, isn't it, that kind of thing?
Well, both are.
But yeah, true. But
children and the general public.
Yeah. I'm sure there's transferable skills there somewhere about patience, self-care. Are you good at looking after yourself?
I think art is me looking after myself, so I've got to find that time to do that, or otherwise it will all go. It will all fall apart.
Yeah. So, punch needle.
Yeah.
I've done a bit, moderately successfully. I did see a video the other day, I believe, of you doing punch needle on denim.
Yes. Have you tried it?
No, because quite frankly, it sounds insane. As in, I don't know. Usually I thought with punch needle, you needed fabric that had a bit of like space, a little bit of give for you to kind of work
denim
through.
Does.
Does it?
Well, I don't know if this is 100% denim, but yeah, it's a denim jacket. But if you stretch it, denim is actually made up of like all of the tiny little holes. Okay. And as long as you have a small enough needle, I would say that is the main thing. When it doesn't work, your needle size is way too big. So this is the size that you need for like denim. Okay. That is the size most people use.
Yeah. That's a proper thumper, isn't it? That's a burn.
So that will just rip the denim straight away, and that will be, it's not working. Which then you just give up, don't you? But yeah.
How did yeah, I might do. I've got a punch needle kit at home which has got dust on it, alongside many of the other kits. Like I've got a half a gold work bee that I did 7 years ago with the Royal School of Needlework. Like the irony for me is I don't get any time to do any creative practice, but then I'm running like an emerging art gallery and having to do loads of creative project management and all that sort of stuff. So I get my kicks in different directions at the moment, I suppose. But so if I understand, you did fine art, studied fine art. I see an illustrative style that I see early on translated into a kind of free-form embroidery style. Talking what, 2020, 2019, something like that?
Yeah, during COVID, I would say it would be like where I really started doing the embroidery. Well, just before COVID is when I started punch needle,
Right.
which is my favourite type of embroidery that I've done. So
It's your jam, isn't it? Because I guess the early stuff was what, free machine, or was it free hand?
free hands, yeah. Still, I really like using my hands to make. So I know like people would be like, "Oh, why don't you try like rug tufting?" And then you have the guns. But to me, it's not. It's not necessarily the finished project. Like it's the making, like the art of making, that I enjoy. And sometimes I have to remind myself that because I'm rushing to finish it, and then I'm like, oh, it's done. I'll put that in the corner of the room.
Yeah.
I'm going to start a new one because it's the like dopamine hit of starting a new project, and then the actual enjoyment of the art of making that I like. But you forget that because you want to finish it and move on to the next thing. And I think with embroidery, especially, it's a patience. Like you're really learning to be patient, and you can't finish it in a day. So it is teaching you to, okay, slow down, enjoy the process, enjoy the making side of it, and then you can go from there with what you want to do next. But I have to stop myself from starting 10 different projects at once and then never finishing any of them. But I mean, I've still got new projects going.
Yeah, but there's a deliberacy to it, isn't there? There's a slowness that you can't avoid, but therein lies the magic. I think that's what you do in the space of that slowness is probably, I don't know, how you find your art or something.
Yeah, and I think it also just creates, especially in motherhood, it creates the space to just think, and it's just quiet, and you don't have to be anyone for anyone. Like you're not a mum, you're just sat there in silence creating. And even before like I had a baby, it's just a time to like disconnect, and you're making, so you're being productive, but you can have whatever you want on in the background, or you don't have to speak to anyone, and it's just like a nice silence to create in, which I really enjoy. And the antisocial side of it.
No, but I mean, the thing that I fell in love with about cross stitch was the kind of meditativeness, and I realized quite a long time ago that, like, when you meditate, your mind wanders and you have to come back to center. But with a practice like cross stitch, and indeed with yours, you're coming back to center
Yeah,
every half a second or so because you're having to focus on what you're doing. So it's
especially with
almost
cross
like,
stitch.
yeah, I mean, cross stitch is cool in a way because as well, you've got holes that you can go through. So what's great is you don't have to think even a ton about that. With yours, there's a bit more of negotiation, getting the needle through the fabric and that kind of thing, isn't there? Whereas,
Yeah,
but that kind of like always being in the moment, to me, I think that was the thing that kind of, without wishing to sound too hippie, kind of touched my soul in the first place. Thing where I was like, oh man, I feel like really bloody chilled out doing this sort of thing. There's something in there.
it's kind of like completely switching off and completely tuning in at the same time to something that's so, to be honest, like irrelevant and mundane in the grand scheme of life. But in that moment is the only focus. And it doesn't really matter if it goes wrong, but you feel like it has to go right.
Yeah. I think there's something as well. I can't remember what it was. I heard someone saying about, and this might sound dumb, but like watching animals. I watch my dog sometimes in the garden trying to chase frogs in the grass. And I look at it and I just think that's like lifing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of like being able to take those moments because we have 10 million things to do. We've got to, to-do list out of it.
To-do lists.
And if we're not thinking about that, we're reflecting on what we did wrong yesterday or whatever. So when these things pull us into those spaces where all we're doing is focusing on the now, it is that opportunity to just maybe look at life. Or remember talking to Joetta Maui, and she would say about, watching bits of dust floating in the sunlight. It's like it's completely irrelevant, but that's what the point of life is, right? That's what you're doing on your deathbed if you're lucky.
Yeah, I think it creates that space, and it kind of forces you to appreciate that stillness. And yeah, I did a whole 8 years ago during COVID when I was doing it. I did like a digital exhibition, and it was called "Who Are You in the Silence?" And it's like that space in it was in my bedroom, my childhood bedroom during lockdown. Like, who are you when no one's watching, and when you're just in that space creating? Like, you're not performing, you're not doing anything, and really, like, what can you build out from that? And you have to remember to come back to that person in the busyness and craziness of life, because you can be, especially in like hospitality and retail and everything, you're always putting on like a front, you're speaking to people all day. And then with motherhood, like, you're always being very happy and encouraging, even if it's the fifth time you've looked at the same object, you're like, wow. And it's just like stripping all of that back and remembering like who you are fundamentally to your core. And, you know, if you don't like what you see, then that's your space to change that and to work on that. And but you can't work on things you can't see, and you can't see them if you don't look. So it's sometimes you wish you hadn't. Sometimes it's easier to just carry on and be, you know, kind of performing for the world. But yeah, it's that introspective aspect of craft that I find quite refreshing, really, in today's world where everything is on show.
It's really satisfying, isn't it? And there's that thing of like, if you get to that point, there's this book called The Untethered Soul, which someone recommended I read. And I started listening to a bit of it on Audible or whatever. And it's kind of like that thing of going, I'm having a thought. And then you go, who am I that's having the thought? And then you go, hang on, who am I that just had that thought? You know, and you peel away these layers like an onion, and then you just freak out and realize that we're all a singular being experiencing the present moment, blah, blah, blah. But I think that there is something about just getting to that space of being able to sit and look at yourself, as you say, non-judgmentally. I feel quite lucky sometimes, right? Because I've got like Mr. X Stitch as a persona. And like if I'm here in the gallery stood behind this counter talking to people, there's a certain persona that you can have, which is quite frankly a lot less dweeby, I like to think. But that thing, as you say, of just the characters and the modes that we slip into, and then to come to understand, and then maybe to like forgive yourself or cut yourself some slack or something. Because it's one thing to work out who you are in the silence, isn't it? But then it's like to go, and you're all right. That almost seems like that's a step too far or something.
I think as well, sometimes you just have to remember we're just on a floating rock in space, and realistically, none of it really matters.
Yeah.
And we can do our best, and we can leave like the best imprint we can on the people around us and people in the world. But
yeah, 1,000 years from now, who's going to give a shit?
Yeah, exactly. And also, if you look out of your own life, no one else cares. People 10 doors down don't care. The people, you know, you can get very wrapped up in what people think of you, and then you realize how many people are in the world and what they're actually worrying and thinking about, and it's not you. It's you know, a whole list of worse things, and suddenly life seems it seems better.
It's pretty bonkers that when you're, I don't know, designing something for a can of beer, have those kind of reflections. I love it. I think that's the thing. Like, I swear my whole thing has just been like trying to get people to tap into that. All of this stuff, it's just about being in the moment. Whether you're doing like punch needle or ice sculpture or playing football or like punching someone, you know, not in an aggressive way, but you know what I mean? There's many ways to God, aren't there? You know, I go to the gym. I went to the gym this morning. It was horrible. And the man who leads our gym class he's great and he does all the stuff. But we were doing this thing where you had to like drop to the floor, walk out with your hands, walk back up again, stand up. And he made us do 20 of those. And you're like, right, thank God. He's like, right, now press ups and then go back to those things. And within 5 minutes, I'm just like, what the? But that's another one of those things where I'm just like, oh, I try and I'm just going, right, this is Jamie. Jamie's in here just having a moment. It's just like, oh, it's
you
too
just
much.
got to get through the next 5 minutes.
Honestly, I do this thing where I look at the clock because it's a 45-minute session, and I look at the clock at a certain point when I've had enough. And sometimes that's about 4 minutes in, and today it was 2 minutes in, and I was just like, oh shit, this is going to be quite hardcore. But I got through it in the end.
And you'll go again.
I will go again, and I'm just going to have a little lie down in a bit. What brought you to Punch Needle?
I think because I already loved embroidery, and I'd seen people doing. So a lot of the time when people do punch needle, they use the looped side. So you do you know when you see it and it's like a coaster or a fluffy looking bag or a rug? But I wanted to make tapestries, and if I was going to be doing that with a needle and thread, that was going to take me years. So I was trying to look at ways that I could make a tapestry but quicker. And I saw punch needle and I thought, oh, maybe I could use the other side of the fabric, so I use the flat side, which is traditionally like the back because it's flat. So that's the side I use. And I started and I was like, cool, I like this. And then I just never stopped. So.
And was your desire to do tapestry because that was like the textile reflection of the art that you make?
Yeah, I think because embroidery, I love embroidery, but you can only really do it so big because it takes so long, and it's just the nature of like a thread is tiny, isn't it? So to fill up a large space with a thread will take you a lot longer than if you were using wool. But my ability to like knit patterns is like, it's got better, but I wouldn't have been like, it wasn't what I wanted. The effect I wanted was as if it had been sewn, but not to take me as long as if I just sat down and hand stitched it. And then the punch needle just kind of, I can't remember how I came across it. I think I'd saw someone making coasters or something and they glued the back. And I was like, oh, that back looks like it could be like a really intricate design. And then, I just kind of started doing it, and the rest is history.
That's it. The rest is history for 80 years, and then is nothingness and dust, as previously discussed. How would you describe the subjects of your work? I've got a take on it, but I'm just wanted you to say it first so I can go, yeah, that's completely what I thought.
I think a lot of my work comes from my writing. So I do a lot of writing, a lot of reflection or like poetry or just thinking in general. And if I write it down and it becomes like a silly idea rather than a sad idea, and then I'll turn it into something visual. And because I think during COVID, a lot of it was quite sad. And then there's a way of turning it into something a bit more bright and colourful, but it's still got that like hint, the tinge of sadness, but it's coming a bit more to life, and it's like physical poetry that you can hold rather than the written stuff, which I do still like. But
so you said when you write something down, it becomes silly instead of sad.
Well, I write it down and it's quite sad.
Right.
And then from there, I can turn it into something a bit more silly, or a bit more like there's more than one dimension to it. And it's, I don't really know how to explain it. It's in my head.
No, it's interesting, isn't it? I was thinking, because you did a piece of there's quite a few seagulls. Seagulls have been a trope for a while, haven't they? But am I right in thinking there's one of someone getting some food stolen by a seagull, right? And I suppose in some ways that's tragedy, but you've got that and you've like, I don't know, hyper reeled it or put the volume up on it or something, or there's a slightly surreality to your aesthetic as well.
I think so that one it came from quite like a difficult time. I was quite ill over COVID, and I'd had quite a big operation, and then uni had been cut short because of the pandemic. So everything had just kind of changed in life all at once. And then I moved away to Cardiff, and I was sat by the sea and I was watching it. I was having all of these like moments of self-doubt of what's next, like where do you go from here? What do I start like career-wise? And I was just watching the seagulls kind of attacking people and eating their food. And it just from there, like, so there's like the deep poignancy in the moments that I've like written. And then from there, the visual side of it. So it's like a visual form of the writing I have in my notebook, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all like this silly visual of the seagulls attacking these people. And it just, when I see that, I think back to that time. So it's very much for me, not for anyone else, but it's like written in code of what I was thinking in that time. And
So it's like if a passerby was stood watching you, if they read the poem, they'd know what's going on inside your head. But if they looked at the picture, they see what was going on outside your head.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's quite like symbolic of just feeling like you're under attack. But I don't know. I wasn't silly enough to have food out on the beach, so I was fine. The seagulls aren't going to come down and steal my pen, but
But life nicks your chips sometimes. And
well,
life does
yeah.
nick
So
your
I called
chips.
it "It's Never the Lettuce," which is when I used to. So during the pandemic, I was working in a shop, and it was just this time of like, it's just a crazy time. It's never the lettuce that you drop. It's the beer. It's the it's watching people going about their everyday life, and the seagulls are never going to come and take your salad. They're going to take the thing that you wanted that you were leaving till last.
The ice cream. Yeah.
So it's silly, but also there's like a tinge of sadness for me in that memory, but I can turn it into something positive. And it's not sadness. Sadness isn't the right word. It's more like just kind of melancholy or whatever.
Yeah, maybe there's like a bittersweet there or something, isn't there? A recognition that even the sadness is fleeting.
Yeah, or like the sadness. Yeah, it doesn't last. It will lead to something else. More like a reflection than a sadness, I guess.
It makes me think there's this TV show I was telling someone about the other day that came out a couple of 3 years ago now. It's called Kevin. I think it's called Kevin Can Go Fuck Himself, right? And it's got the woman. Did you ever watch Schitt's Creek?
No, I haven't.
It's on iPlayer, right? It's just started. I would say watch it, right? It's beautiful. It's beautiful. By the time you get into the second series of it, it's just so good and it's really rewarding. But there's a woman who played a character in that called Alexis, and she's in this sitcom, this show, and basically it's like this woman who lives in a sitcom, and Kevin's her husband. And there's these whole scenes where it's just like an American sitcom. Laugh tracks. He's a bit like kind of crazy, dopey, but everyone kind of loves him. And his brother's here, and they're all just like dudes and this and that and the other. And she's the wife, and she comes on and does all this stuff. And then there'll be a bit where she then leaves and goes out into the kitchen, and then it snaps to like real world of her being that person who's like married to this complete idiot who everyone seems to love, and she doesn't get taken seriously. And it's like, it's bright and shiny when it's a sitcom, and then it's quite dark and moody, and she's got like major mental health challenges because her husband's just gambled away their savings on something that's a hilarious bit for the sitcom.
Yeah.
But she's also then living it real life as well, do you know? And it's like that contrast of the two things. And she'd be like, rah, and then she'd walk back through the door back into the sitcom again, where even though in her head she's like messed up, it's kind of like she's having to be this comedy person because I'm in a sitcom, and it's like a robot thing or whatever. Such a clever idea.
Sounds complicated.
It was complicated, but when I saw it, I was just like, that's kind of genius because of just that duality of it and going, what happened if you lived in one of these cheesy American sitcoms, what's the reality like?